Welcome to the Den of Episodes. I'm Marlo Fox, and this is your cozy little corner of the internet. Grab your cup of coffee or tea, settle into your favorite comfy spot, and let's journey to the Highlands together. This week, Lexie has gone and done it. What has she done? She's gone blonde. I've seen season 2, and I forgot. She went blonde. And I'm used to Lexie with her dark hair, and honestly, if the blonde looked great on her, I would be praising it. But I just don't think it suits her. So I guess we'll have to live with it for at least one season. Another change we see is that Justine's hair is growing out. In season 1, she had a super short pixie, and it's grown out a little bit, and I like this better on her. We also have a change in the pet situation at Glen Bogle. We had two dogs, Monty and Rommel, and surprise, surprise, this year we have 5 dogs. I guess Hector decided he wants a pack. Episode 2 begins with Glen Bogle going online. We have cameras everywhere, and Katrina is trying to direct Archie and the rest of the crew who are scattered across the estate filming promotional clips. Glen Bogle has officially entered the 21st century complete with a website. Of course, this means Justine, Katrina, and Lexie are all together in one place, which can only end one way, with lots of jealousy. Then, because this is Glen Bogle, someone parachutes in. Archie's at the computer asking Justine to just try to get along with Katrina, who's been instrumental in getting the website up and running. They spot the parachuter on the webcam, and Justine introduces him as some kind of mysterious globe-trotting figure. It turns out he's there to run a corporate retreat for Fleming's bank. Fleming arrives with 2 colleagues, Mary, who seems grounded and capable. She's a really cute redhead, and Nigel, who immediately establishes himself as the resident complainer. Also, for some reason, there's a sheep in the back seat. There's no explanation given. We just accept it and move on. Nigel wastes no time in complaining as they pull up to Glen Bogle, and he suggests that the place looks like it's falling apart. This isn't true at all. It has a few problems, but falling apart? Nope. Justine and Katrina go on what's supposed to be a friendly walk, but it's not. Justine makes it very clear that she's been with Archie for years, and Katrina is wasting her time. When Katrina refers to Glen Bogle as her home, Justine quickly reminds her that her home is a 20-minute bike ride away. She even throws in some remarks about how people should respect boundaries. This is definitely going to get messy. Back in the kitchen, Lexie is preparing dinner while Duncan and Golly hover nearby, offering questionable help. They're mid-conversation about Justine when she walks in and immediately criticizes Lexie's cooking. Lexie is not amused. At dinner, tensions continue to rise. Hector makes a grand entrance in full formal attire. He has on these red plaid trousers and a dinner jacket, and Nigel mistakes him for a waiter and proceeds to order wine from him. The disrespect continues. Then Lexie delivers one of the most satisfying moments of the episode when she serves soup straight into Nigel's lap and sweetly offers him some bread to go with it. Later, Hector vents about being mistaken for staff, and Justine brushes it off, telling him that complaining isn't helping anything. Hector, in true fashion, insists that things have always gone his way and he's not about to start adjusting now. Meanwhile, Molly is glued to the computer, waiting on the international markets to open like it's the most normal thing in the world. Out by the lock, Katrina is clearly upset. Golly gently tells her that while Justine may not be easy to deal with, she's working incredibly hard. He also advises Katrina, using a fishing metaphor, to step back completely before she gets hurt. And you can tell she's really thinking about it. In Archie and Justine's room, we learn the truth about the retreat. This isn't just team building. Mr. Brown is there to decide which of the 3 bankers gets cut. It's survival of the fittest. And outside, the exercises begin. Running, push-ups. It's basically a boot camp. Then things escalate, because inside the house, later that day, Mr. Brown inflates a raft on Hector's billiard table. And that's the final straw. Hector yells upstairs to Molly to get her toothbrush. They're moving out. He calls for the dogs, and the pack comes running. As they're leaving, we see Mr. Brown setting up ropes for abseiling, what we'd call rappelling in the U.S. It's a controlled descent using ropes and harnesses. Archie helps his parents relocate to another house on the estate, where Hector insists they'll live simply. Archie is worried about his parents and wonders how they're going to cook for themselves. They go inside the house and discover that they'll have to share a bedroom. Hector tells Molly that this is simply unnatural for a man and wife to share the same bedroom. Is this how the rich live? You have so many bedrooms, I don't know, sometimes I want my own bedroom. Later, we see Hector and Molly sitting at a tiny table, and they're dressed for dinner, and they're having beans on toast. Beans on toast is a classic British comfort food. You take toasted bread and butter it, then pour the heated baked beans right on top. I've heard about beans and toast for years because invariably it comes up in any and all of my British shows. When there is nothing in the house to eat, there's always beans on toast. The key is that the British baked beans are different, much different to the ones we have in the U.S. They are much less sweet and they are not smoky. They're in a lighter tomato sauce, not the thick, sugary barbecue-style sauce common in the U.S. The most popular brand in the UK is Heinz baked beans. I'd really like to try them, so I looked it up on Amazon, and the cheapest I could find a can for was $9.95. So I will not be having British baked beans anytime soon. Back at the estate, a scoreboard reveals Fleming is in last place and at serious risk of losing his job, which would be disastrous for the estate. Archie goes to Katrina's cottage to get her help. She hesitates, but ultimately agrees. The next challenge is intense. The bankers must be lowered into a pit that they have to escape with no ladder while it slowly fills with water. Then they have to take an ATV and be the first to get back to Glen Bogle to win the race. They decide to form a human ladder with Fleming on the bottom, and you would think that Nigel would be on Fleming's shoulders, but no. Nigel insists that Mary is on Fleming's shoulders, and then Nigel proceeds to climb over on the shoulders, somehow onto the shoulders of Mary, nearly breaking her, and he manages to get himself out of the pit. He doesn't help the other two get out, though. He takes off on the ATV. Meanwhile, the pit is continuing to fill with water from the lock. Fortunately for Mary and Fleming, Katrina and Archie are nearby spying on them, so Katrina takes off after Nigel, and Archie goes and helps the other two. Now, Katrina's mission is to stop Nigel and tell him the road is blocked up ahead and he has to go a different way. So she does that, and Archie gets the other two out of the pit just in time. The water was up to their shoulders, and they take off on the ATV. And you would think they would easily win the race, but somehow Nigel gets back on track, and there at the end, it's neck and neck when Nigel runs out of gas, and the other two win the race. So Nigel gets out and kicks the tire of his vehicle in true Nigel form. Later, Justine overhears Archie and Katrina laughing together. Katrina admits that they only seem to have fun when Justine isn't around. She asks Archie if he's truly happy, and he can't give her a clear answer. That says everything. Katrina is very frustrated, and she says she's going home, and she tells Archie to go home to Justine. Later, Justine visits Hector and Molly in their new place and to see how they're settling in. And Hector claims it's wonderful, but Justine softens, admitting she misses him. And she apologizes for being a pain in the neck, and he apologizes too. So apparently they've made peace, which is nice. Back at Glenbogle, Fleming is playing the piano. He's playing My Funny Valentine when Lexie walks in. They talk as he continues to play. And then he plays Clair de Lune by Claude Debussy. This is one of my favorite pieces of classical music. Debussy is a French composer. He's often regarded as the founder of musical impressionism. In short, he was a musical painter using sound like colors to create moods and imagery. He wrote Clair de Lune in 1905. There must be something about the moon, because my other favorite piece of classical music is Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. I hope you've enjoyed hearing this little bit of Clair de Lune in the background. From that scene, we learned that there's a whole other side to Fleming that we knew nothing about. Katrina tells Archie she won't be coming back to Glenbogle. She says they need to be honest about their feelings and that the situation with Justine has become unbearable. And she walks away. In the kitchen, Justine and Lexie are having a full-blown argument, trading insults, and Lexie delivers a particularly sharp one about Justine's lack of warmth. Outside, another challenge is underway on the lock, but tensions inside the house reach a breaking point. Archie pulls Justine aside to talk. Meanwhile, thanks to Hector and Duncan's camera work, this deeply personal conversation is accidentally broadcast live on the Glenbogle website, including to Katrina's classroom of children. Justine admits to Archie that she misses her old life. She loves London, and Archie acknowledges that he doesn't know if things can go back to how they were. He definitely isn't leaving Glenbogle. It's honest and heartbreaking, and it looks like they finally reached the decision that they can no longer be together. Out on the lock, the challenge wraps up, and Mary reveals she's the one that's been evaluating both men. She is their boss. And she fires Nigel for his lack of integrity and promotes Fleming. Fleming says, however, that he is leaving the bank and he's decided to take a different path entirely. He's going on the road with his music, and Lexie is going to be his manager and muse. Archie helps Justine into a taxi, and they reflect on their past and acknowledge that what they once had was real, but it's over now. They embrace, and she leaves Glenbogle. In the aftermath, Lexie tells Fleming she's staying at Glenbogle. Now that Justine is gone, she isn't going anywhere. They share a kiss, and it's clear there's a fondness for each other, but more so on Fleming's side than Lexie's, I think. Hector and Molly have returned home with their ever-growing pack of dogs. At the lock, Archie sits alone until Katrina appears. He admits the breakup feels strange. It's sad, but he also feels lighter. He tells her he's probably going to need help moving forward, and she gently reminds him that she's already there. Finally, we see Hector headed to the bathroom with his newspaper. He takes a seat on the throne, only to realize there's a camera pointed directly at him. He immediately calls out for Duncan in absolute outrage. And that's a wrap on Season 2, Episode 1. It looks like we finally resolved the Justine-Archie relationship. And now Archie's free to move on to a new romance. Will it be Katrina? Maybe Lexie? Or is someone else in Archie's future? We'll just have to tune in and find out. On our animal sightings this week, we had the 5 dogs and not just 2. And I don't know what their names are, but we'll probably hear them in the coming episodes as Hector is yelling them out. We also had the sheep in the back seat of the vehicle with the bankers. It's never mentioned why it was there, and I can't imagine the mess it left. In our Across the Pond translations, we had whinging and that's spelled Whinging, and that's complaining or whining. When Justine visited Hector and Molly at their little house apart from the estate, she asked them how the billet was. And billet, Billet, is another word for lodging or house. Our dish of the week was beans on toast, and I looked a little further into that and I found out that 1/3 of all British adults in the UK eat beans on toast at least once a week. It's considered a staple across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Heinz sells over 1 billion cans of baked beans a year in the UK. I'll still keep my eye out for a can of those baked beans, but I'm not paying $10 for it. The last word we had was abseiling, and that's spelled Abseiling, and that is called rappelling here in the US. And that's it for Season 2, Episode 1. I think we're off to a great start, and I'm excited for what's ahead. As always, thank you for listening to my podcast, and if you would, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and if you need to get in touch with me, you can reach me as always at thedenofepisodes@yahoo.com. You can tell me if you have a favorite moment from a previous episode, or if you've started using one of the new words you've learned. Thank you again for joining me in the Den of Episodes. I'm Marlo Fox, and until next time, keep the kettle on and the episodes rolling.